Greetings, YouTube. It's been a long time. Alan Lube is back. Yeah, I just had took a break from the game, and Hunted is out. Assassin is getting more support, which means, of course, I had to bring Taotao back on the channel so we can talk about it.
I'm a regular here.
Yeah, Taotao. Like, if it wasn't for Taotao, I probably wouldn't have published a video in like a year. But I actually am planning on playing a bit more. We'll see how that goes. Not planning to like compete super hard or anything, but with Mastery Pack Guardian in looming, coming soon, surely I'll post more content, or maybe, but we'll see. So yeah, why don't we just get started, Taotao? What do you think about the set as a whole?
Yeah, so this is our third real assassin set, not counting Dynasty, that kind of just to introduce some contract cards.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm as an assassin main. I think my only real flesh and blood achievement is getting LL points on OG Arakni. So we got new Arakni more than
back
one
to back LL points too, not just any LL. Back to back ProQuest on the same weekend.
Yes, that was a good times. But now we got more than one new Arakni. In fact, we got a bunch of them, and of course a ton of new assassin cards. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the set with a mixture of obviously excitement and also trepidation. The former obviously, but the latter because these assassin cards are really pushed, and some of the generics as well are quite pushed. And I'm just hoping it's not like another MST situation where we get a set that's quite powerful and just takes over the meta for a while. And some of these cards, of course, a new an MST hero gets to play as well. So we'll be looking at these cards from that perspective as well.
I mean, let's say MST is no longer part of the equation. Enigma's gone. Zen is gone. Maybe New is still there, Tail, and 800 points ish or something. Do you feel like they'll sort of be like the center point of the meta, or assassin, that is, like New / Arakni / Arakni?
I think the headline hero Arakni Marionette for this set is just is one of the, well, first of all, one of the craziest just in terms of like the mechanics that they've ever printed, and also quite powerful too. So I guess it's just like, let's dive into it and look at this hero, right? Your stealth attacks that are attacking a marked hero get +1, and when this hits, this gets go again. And then at the beginning of your end phase, an opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos.
Yep.
So I think this hero, very obviously, when you look at it, you need to look at the interactions. Like, first, you need a bunch of stealth cards for the ability to be good, and you also need mark, right? So I think that goes hand in hand with the weapons we get here. So first of all, Hunter's Clave was spoiled pretty late, but for a while we only had information on Mark of the Huntsman, like the draft card, and man, this card is in constructed at least is just not good, right? Same attacking cost as most daggers that assassins get, and then it doesn't have piercing, and then to mark you have to blow it up. So thankfully,
I see. You can't just flick this because
you can't actually flick, and you can flick it.
Will you still mark them?
Yeah, it still marks because they introduced new wording with this. You may choose to destroy this and mark them. That means like when it resolves, you make the choice and then you do as much of the choice as you can. So even though like it says destroy first and mark them,
Gotcha.
if it's already destroyed, you can still choose to destroy and mark them. Yeah, they specifically updated the wording for this weapon.
Before we saw Hunter's Clave, and we'll talk about that next, but like when I saw this, I was like, does it even really matter what it does? It marks, you flick it, and then you try to get your other one, right? Which we'll cover later.
Right, the other it's in tokens at the bottom, but the graphic list, right? So right, so the problem is like if you only get to do that twice, and if you do, then your base form, which you're going to spend at least half the time and probably more, is like you're dead, right? Because like you can't mark them as nearly as easily anymore. You don't get the +1, you don't get the potential going, and also because if you don't mark them nearly as often, you don't get to transform. So you spend more time in base form, and then your base form doesn't do anything. So it's I think it's like your velocity goes way down once you lose your 2 daggers, which is why also I think now that we have Hunter's Clave revealed, if you have 2 of these, like you probably don't want to flick the second one, because if the game goes a little bit later, you're going to need a way to consistently mark, and this thing is crazy. I cannot believe that they gave this dagger piercing, because I also cannot believe that they made it a generic assassin weapon and not a chaos assassin weapon. Like the chaos talent right now isn't doing a whole lot. They just introduced talent and they didn't print cards for it. Spur locked. Yeah, of course you're gonna pay 6 life to maybe tutor for a card, right? Anyway, so Hunter's Clave. Same attacking cost as a 1 Gogan, piercing 1. When this is a hero, mark them. So this is very similar to Beckoning Mistblade. Beckoning Mistblade gives +1 and go against blue. This gives, because of your Marionette power, gives +1 and possibly go against or go again on hit to your stealth attacks. However, it also has piercing 1, which if anyone has ever played against New, you know that how crucial it is to armor block the Mistblade at key times. But piercing gets around that. And other assassins get it too, so Azuri can play it. Potentially, if she wants to lean a little more into the stealth. New can play it is if you want like a Mistblade and a Clave setup to maybe get a little bit of those like more disruptive like blue stealth attacks into her deck, because some of her like current stealth attacks are kind of like filler, right? Maybe you're playing pick the pieces for Enigma, but it's useless against everything else. Maybe your Bonds of Memory is like it's good in the mirror, but against most other decks, it's not great. So replacing that with some of the more disruptive attacks that rely on marking might be a consideration to just run Clave instead. But if you're playing Marionette or if you're playing Slip Through the Cracks, you're almost certainly running Clave. And I think you might be running just 2 Claves at the beginning so that you can flick 1 to guarantee the mark and then re-equip a Graphing Clystra. Speaking of which, let's talk about Graphing Clystra because that's their 3rd dagger, right?
Yep, to the bottom. Where's the token? Okay, I don't know where it is.
You gotta search for it.
No. Okay, yeah, I'll search for it. How do you spell it?
Chelicera.
Oh my god.
So Graphing Clystra, we have a few ways of equipping it. One of the Arakni Marionette forms makes it, and then also a few cards that equip it.
Yeah,
the Orb Weaver form. So this thing is really powerful as well, the Clystra, because it costs 1 to attack, right?
Yep.
So this thing is a Kodachi.
It's a Kodachi.
And for Assassin's players, you know that having 2 daggers and 1 blue in your hand feels pretty bad, because if you don't have Tunic up, then you're only swinging 1 dagger. Well, this thing solved that problem. You get to swing with both daggers, so consistently pinging for 1. Sometimes you have floating resources left. If you're let's say you pay 2 for a CNC and you have 1 floating, this eats up your floating resources because you can get an extra damage out of it.
Yep.
It only however, it's not really Kodachi because it only has go again when attacking a marked hero, right?
Yep.
So this makes things a little bit awkward for you because you have to like mark them first. But if you swing with this and then it hits, then it removes the mark. So then any of your attacks that rely on getting mark, they don't function nearly as well.
When the mark resolves, does it lose go again in the resolution and then like step?
No, it's like you get last known information. So like it hits you, like you hit them with the Clysra. The entire attack gets go again. Like the hero, like the enemy doesn't have to stay marked for the entire chain link. It's just like when it attacks, as long as they're marked when it attacks, then it'll get go again for the whole chain link.
Makes sense.
So it makes it a little awkward for things like if you want to like actually go wide with it, but for things like if they're already marked, let's say you transform into one of the other forms and they're marked, but like then you draw up and you don't have a good on hit that requires mark, then you can just attack with this and then let's say you pitch a blue, attack with this with go again, and then you codex into CNC. That's really powerful because like previously CNC, which is one of your most powerful codex targets and like a staple line of play for every assassin deck, is to you had to like pitch a blue and then either have Tunic up or you have another blue in hand so you can double dagger, or you have like a red and a blue so you can overpitch into it and have 2 floating. Because the CNC off of Codex is way more powerful than Leave No Witnesses off of Codex. But now if they're marked, you can Glycera and you have 2 floating. So that makes it really good, and just being able to like kind of use the entire blue for like a clave into a Calicera if necessary, or if they're already marked, you go Calicera, consume the mark, then you clave to mark them again for your next play. It just gives you a lot more flexibility. Whereas having swinging 2 claves all the time, it's not likely that you're going to be able to do it with less than 2 cards. And then having if you have 2 blues, having 2 extra floating is often pretty bad because there's not a lot of things that you can do with it. So that's why I think having for most of the game, you're probably going to want to have 1 clave and 1 Calicera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so
Just the weapons is already a lot.
It's a lot. So I need to go back to the hero, right? Because so base form, I think we're gonna find that base form itself is actually quite powerful, and in a lot of situations more powerful than the transformations.
Okay, but you just said base form does nothing. Come on, Taotao.
No, I said it has nothing if you don't draw stealth cards.
Okay, true. And
mark.
Okay.
Mark. Okay. I don't mean that it does nothing in general. Okay, so the reason base form is powerful is that I think this hero is very similar to another kind of like mid-rangey hero that we have currently called Ira, right? Ira just makes your second attack get +1, and she has Kadachis that swing a lot.
People don't like that word anymore, Taotao.
Arakni, because a lot of times, if your opponent doesn't start marked, you swing your Clave, and it's kind of hard to block because they don't want to give up card, they don't want to give up armor. So it marks them, and then your next attack gets +1, and on hit go again, right? And even though the stealth cards they don't have like they're not like the 1-for-5 line or the 2-for-6 line that Ira has. They all have on hits that are like pretty decent, or at least like the ones you're going to be running, right? Mark of the Black Widow, right? When it hits a marked hero, they banish the card from their hand. That's a crazy powerful ability. And when you're swinging with it after a Clave, then it's a 0-for-4 that gets go again on hit. So like your opponent really wants to block these out, but 4 is a breakpoint, so it turns your non-breakpoint 3s into breakpoint 4s. And if they do manage to block it out, then they blocked anyways. And also you get to transform into one of your agents at the end of turn because they didn't consume the mark.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that game of like impossible choices. Sort of like back in the day when Uzuri was playing, like I have a red infect, and then if you block 3, I'm going to flip into a 6-power disruption, right? So like, what do you do? Like sometimes that's an impossible choice. And Arakni's doing that again with this base power that gives +1, because giving +1 is really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the annoying thing is like everyone harkens this back to like Dory and WTR days, right? Where it's like, if you make the wrong decision, you're kind of screwed. But it feels like with like this largening assassin pool, it almost sometimes doesn't matter what choice you make. They have like
they're always
answer to your choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like
or every choice is wrong basically.
Yeah, and it's like you can maybe predict like what's the quote unquote correct choice, because like, oh, they have the attack react instead of the stealth, and you played around it correctly or something. Anyways, but does that really
but maybe
feel
it doesn't matter.
Good to play against? I don't know. And I guess maybe the point is like you have to sort of decide like, okay, I can play around this, and if I get punished, it's okay. And if I can play around this, and if I get punished, then I lose. So you obviously try to avoid the one where you lose, but like a lot of these situations is kind of the same ish. So
yeah, like there's no win, right? Let's say New leads Bond's Agony against you. If you block it out really tall, then she's going to give it go again and play another disruptive attack. Or if you don't block it out, then she's going to play 3 acts and screw your hand. It's that assassin magic of like the numbers on the damage aren't great, but there's not really any correct choices. And assassin now has like a huge density of powerful effects. So let's go over the transformations like pretty quick. So the first couple, Black Widow and Funnel Web, they kind of are the same, or they're similar, so not the same thing, but like. So they don't get the +1 anymore, so your 3s are still 3, but you can discard any assassin card, so you can toss one of your blues and give your assassin attack +3, and then if it has stealth on hero, on hitting a hero, they banish a card from hand. It works on Calyssera as well. So like if you have a Tunic Calyssera, and then you can discard a card, make it 4 because Calyssera has stealth. Yeah, it has stealth. So it hits them, they banish a card from the hand, and then Funnel Web is that for Arsenal. So it's a good transformation. Like these are your 2 powerful offensive transformations, and you're going to be wanting to hit these a lot. And like if you transform into them, you probably want a wider hand so that you can like dump cards and play your reactions from hand as well. Or Weaver. So the discard to equip. This is going to be tough because it's your next attack with stealth. So like the way you'd have to do it is like you attack with something, you flick to get rid of one of your knives, and then you discard, and then you have another attack. So like you can start with Clave, and then you flick your second knife, and then you play into attack. It's a little bit awkward, but what is nice is that the Graphic Calyssera costs 1 less to activate is pretty relevant, because 0 cost go again attack is not bad at all, and it lets you do things with your resources that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. So yeah.
Well, I mean, also with this one, it's like if your opponent starts the turn marked, and you already have a Calicera, you can attack with it for free, and also flick it. Attack with your clave, re-equip.
But you'd have to. You can't. Right? You can't flick the current. You can't flick the current chain link. So you'd have to attack with something else and then flick the previous chain link.
Sure. So you'll attack with clave and then flick the first Calicera, and then
you mark it,
and then you get +3, and then it's like good value. But I mean, it only stays around for one turn, and it's not like it's not like you can play around this end game and like quote unquote like Kadachi lock someone. I mean, you kind of can because daggers ping for 1, but it's like it's not going to be 1/1 costing 1/1. So. It's okay. It's good, but it's not.
It's good. It's a fine transformation. It's it's not bad. Sometimes maybe you'd prefer base form just because giving +1 to your stealth cards, that's like an automatic breakpoint and giving go again. But still, I think this transformation is
it also depends. Like against like more defensive decks, or like if you're playing against a CYB deck, then this transformation is arguably better because it lets you have more rate on your turn than necessarily disrupt, which may not hit. So.
Yeah, because it also gives you more flicks, sort of, which kind of forces through damage. So
yeah. True damage.
Redback, it's also actually kind of similar to the first two. Instead of being disruptive, it's like the guaranteed go again, and this is like really good with a wide hand with multiple attacks, right? So you can you come in for 6, and then you come in for like another disruptive thing. Great form. I think it's like pretty bad in the late game because you don't want to be tossing cards just for a go again. Like tossing cards for +3 is fine. And with a lot of these transformations, it's like with Nu, she has a great end game because once she draws her cheese, she can just like banish your hand with her mask, so she always has a reaction. But like with these guys, even though you have to discard, like you always get a +3 reaction out of it that does something. So you can kind of like turn your late game blues into fuel. So yeah, pretty good.
And you can fuel looking for a scrap really easily. Like, you don't have to play a bad blue just to turn it on.
Right. Speaking of pinging for 1, how about this guy that pings for 2 instead, right? This is good. You swing 2 daggers, and then you also pump your dagger attacks. Yeah, or flick it. You swing a dagger, you swing another dagger, you flick the first dagger. Yeah, good stuff. Losing 1 life is generally more powerful than dealing 1 damage, right? But you still have to hit in the first place, so.
Yeah.
And lastly, trapdoor. Okay, this is the one that I think warrants the most discussion. In some ways, like this is kind of a brick, and like if you could delete 1 transformation from out of the 6 to never hit, you'd probably want to never hit this one so that you don't have to put traps in your deck, right?
The opposite of brute.
Okay. Yeah, you never want to roll 6. So, but the thing is, because this exists, you do have to actually put traps in your deck to not break yourself on this. So we have this kind of like Tabara Yu-Gi-Oh term.
It's a May, right?
Well, yeah, but then if you don't do it, then you don't have any value from your hero, and it's worse than base form entirely.
Oh, that's fine. It's like rolling a 1,
But to borrow a Yu-Gi-Oh term, you're gonna have garnets in your deck, like the cards that you want to tutor out with this, but you don't want to draw into them because the next time you roll into it, then you won't be able to get it. So all the traps available to Assassin right now are reds. There's the old ones, the Blood Rot, Inertia, Frailty, and then there's a couple new ones, the 2 layer ones, and a Hunter Be Hunted, and they're all red. So that means if you draw them early and you want to keep them in your deck, then you got to pitch a red, and that kind of feels bad.
Well, you can always discard with all the other effects, but yes, I do agree. Red bad.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing is let's just talk about the legendary helmet that I think is now mandatory for Arakni, Mask of Deceit. So this works with every Arakni. It works with Huntsman. You can still transform into the forms once. It works with Slip Through the Cracks. Transform into all of them once. And of course it works with Marionette. So when it defends, become a random Agent of Chaos. If an attacking hero is marked, instead choose the Agent of Chaos. Your life doesn't change. So I can see 2 pretty common uses for this. First is if you really need a defensive turn and your opponent's marked, you block with this to transform into Trapdoor. You get a D-react, so you can essentially you're blocking for 5 at the cost of kind of slightly decreasing your own turn because it doesn't do anything on turn. The other thing I can see you can do with this is that if you if you rolled into Trapdoor naturally, then you block with this, and it's still you have a D-react and you have this, and it blocks for 5. But then you also transform to a different Agent of Chaos that actually does something on your own turn. And because you blocked 5 just off of armor, essentially, then you get to have a big wide turn. So you transform into Redback to give a go again, or you transfer into Widow to blow up the hand, that sort of thing. So yeah, this is a powerful pivot piece, and I think it kind of slots in perfectly with what Marionette wants to do.
Can OG Arakni transform? Because they're chaos.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So like the demi heroes are like technically tokens, and they're not part of your deck list. So like the class the talent restriction is only for when you're assembling your deck.
I see. But you would only basically get to transform once.
Yeah, you transform once, and so if you're OG Arakni, you're probably not running a lot of marks, so you're like rolling that 1 in 6 to turn this trapdoor to try to not die because you're playing OG Arakni and you're probably doing a lot of dying.
Hey, legendaries they print more of them. Like I'm sure.
Yeah, class legend. I think class legendaries that are better than generic legendaries are good for the game because it kind of like depresses the price a little bit.
Crown of Providence.
Not everybody needs. Yeah, you don't need a Crown of Providence for every deck. That sort of thing.
But for some reason, Tunic just won't get power.
Yeah, we're on Tunic forever. Well, there's a new legendary chest that's pretty good for this deck as well. So we'll talk about that in time.
We'll see. Yeah.
The other Arakni hero that we got is this guy Slipped Through the Cracks, written in Leet Speak. It's a great looking marvel, by the way. I'll just say Arakni for short. So this hero is kind of similar to
Solitary Confinement.
Solitary Confinement in Blitz, and Solitary Confinement is a pretty decent Blitz deck, right? Like you just play a lot of stealth attacks. You still play Codex and Leave No Witnesses, and you play like a bunch of or attack reactions to get over. And if they like block too high, then you just go into the next chain link. So the ability is very powerful. The problem is Arakni is not the same as Solitary Confinement, right? So it says the first attack with stealth each turn gets go again. It's not your first attack with stealth each turn. So it affects your opposing assassins as well. And when I first saw this card, I was like, I thought this is dog doo-doo tier. Because of that ability, because you're just losing the assassin mirror. And to be very clear, I think if you play this hero, you are losing assassin mirrors, right? You're like New, a Marionette, Uzuri, like all of them are going to be champing at the bit to get that go again on the first stealth attack because they get to do the thing where they present a stealth that has an on hit, and then like if you block it by exactly, they can go over, or if you block it by too much, then they'll just go to the next chain link, and like they want to do the same thing that you're doing. Except they do it better because they also have their own actual hero power. Also, you have 38 life instead of 40, which, as we know, in Flesh and Blood, every single point of life matters. So, I think that makes it really bad when I think Assassin's going to be a pretty big part of this meta, and if you lose every Assassin mirror, then that's pretty bad. Okay, but the ability is pretty powerful.
Clearly, Assassin is pushed enough that New and Marionette just LL by the end of the year and then slip through the crack. Arakni.
Yeah, so I think I think if it's like a choice between Arakni and Huntsman, right? You're probably picking Arakni, and the Huntsmans are probably running all the contracts or something. So you're probably doing okay still.
Exactly.
So like in a vacuum. Yeah, in a vacuum, this hero, like the ability is very, very powerful. And if you're like, I'm sure there are going to be people who build this hero anyways, and they do fine because again, like these cards are really pushed, and the ability is powerful, and they just like dodge New and Marionette for the entire day. And that's totally going to happen. I think I would not bring this to Pro Tour.
Okay, but hear me out. Is it possible that even though they get stealth and Arakni also gets stealth go again? Sorry. You build your deck in a way that takes better advantage of it? No?
like what? Like running more stealth cards?
Yeah, more stealth, maybe slightly less react. I don't know. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Sure. Okay, yeah, maybe. Hey, if any of y'all wants to, bring this deck to Pro Tour and, beat the living daylights out of other assassins, like please do. I really want to see this deck.
Taotao, that's supposed to be you.
No, dude, I'm playing Marionette.
You're the one who was playing Arakni Huntsman. Surely you can play Arakni.
Nah. I like Marionette a lot better.
Fair.
Because plus one on my stealth cards essentially turns them into like 0 for 4s, which is a break point, which is like what I want to be doing all the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I want. What I want is like another hero that's like Arakni strings are cut, where it's just like the base form that doesn't transform into the Agents of Chaos.
Oh, so it's just this, but doesn't
it's just the first sentence, and I think that would actually be a pretty good hero. Because like then you're just playing Ira with disruption.
A little bit, because if they eat it, then it's like you have to continuously mark them. Well, I guess, but that's what the dagger's for. But
yeah, that's what Clave is for, right? You just Clave every turn.
Clave, you Clave's mark good. 4, go again. Oh my god, that's so tilting. And then you have like, I don't know, Censor.
Codex. Yeah, Censor. Codex into Censor, right? You Codex, and you bring in Censor, they bring in a card, and then you just name the card that they brought.
Annihilate the Armed.
Right, my old favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right, I mean, let's just go down the line. Whoa, we skipped the Fable. We skipped the Fable.
That's right.
Yeah, we can actually
Chaos
play this.
Resource.
Well, back in the days with what's Stack Kano, this would have been great because you could just blow up their stack.
Mm-hmm.
Because it forces them to shuffle. But in the current situation, I don't think this is very good because like the best case scenario, right? Forget about pitch stacking or whatever. Your opponent has an arsenal, you don't have an arsenal, and then you just get a card out of it. So that seems good. But there are going to be situations a lot of times where your opponent doesn't have an arsenal because they don't want an arsenal against assassin, right? Because you blow up their arsenal. So they're like, I'm going to play out my hand, and then you give them a card. That's not amazing. And then there are also going to be situations where opponent doesn't have an arsenal, and you do have an arsenal that you can't easily get rid of because let's say it's an attack reaction or even a D-react, right? Like or a codex, and you need to dump your hand. Like if you're pitching this, then you're just giving your opponent a card. And also, even though like we try to build, generally assassin players try to build, we try to build our decks so that we can ponder pretty much anything into the arsenal, but that doesn't always work, right? Like if you play new, and you ponder your like pick pieces against like not Enigma, right? You just feel kind of bad because like it does nothing.
Or you and attack react and it gets stuck there.
Yeah, like you ponder into a shred and it stays there forever.
Shred, whoa, Taotao. News don't play shred. Come on.
Yeah, okay, not new. Yeah. Maybe if you're like on OG Huntsman, like you ponder into your last effort and then you can't arsenal it. So yeah, stuff like that.
Such a niche example, but for you specifically, but sure.
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, stuff like that happens, and I think it's just like introduces an element of randomness, fittingly enough for the chaos that I don't think you need to run this, and of course it doesn't block, and everything else blocks for a lot. So yeah, I think Plague Hive is probably better.
Taotao, seal of
if
approval.
You need to run a Fable.
Fabled that doesn't need to be played.
Incredible, yes. Yeah.
But if someone put this in their deck, would you be like, you're trolling, or is it like, oh, sure?
No, I'd be like, yeah, sure, interesting. I think it can have upside, right? If you want to run it, then it's not like I don't think it's like
it's not
throwing the game. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to these lovely Majestics. 5 of them.
Yeah, the crazy cards. Well, some of them. Okay, like Kiss of Death is crazy. All right, so if you ignore the text at the bottom, it seems pretty normal, right? It's a 0 for 3 stealth. On hit, they lose a life, so like sort of a 0 for 4 if it hits. But it's also a dagger, right? Assassin action, dagger attack. What? Yep. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you go into the next chain link, you can flick it. And then the hit, they lose 1 life. So like you flick it, you just get another free 2 damage off of the next chain link.
The flick deals 1 damage, correct?
Well, the flick itself deals 1 damage, and then they lose a life.
Yes.
Yeah, and also you didn't lose a dagger, right? You didn't lose a real dagger. You lost that kiss of death.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Obviously, like the idea is that with Marionette, you give this go again, so you can flick it on the next chain link, and that's why your opponent is like, okay, I have to block this, otherwise free attack, they get flick.
Right.
And you
I think some of the
some
of the synergies with this. This synergizes really well with 2 of the other Majestics that we'll get into. I think like some of the synergies with this are so good that you actually really want to get into the next chain link, which is why I think Snapdragon Scalers might be a consideration for the boots over Black Tech Whisperers, because like you're probably not going to generate a ton of silver, and then if you just Snapdragons once, guaranteed go again, that's pretty powerful compared to like the conditional on hit go again, even at the cost of 1 block. And also, if we had like news boots, the stilettos, then you'd run that instead. But yeah, no access to that, so you're doing this.
Or do you want to go to the synergy ones first?
No, let's talk about Under the Trapdoor. Yeah,
sure.
This card, let's get the bad ones out of the way. Like, not that this one is bad. I don't think it's amazing. So the effect is quite good, sort of. But it's like the way you go about it, right? So it's a 1 power stealth. If you discard it, you can essentially play a trap from your graveyard, and then it banishes it, so you can't do it again. So you're gonna have traps from Trapdoor, and like being able to turn a blue into a 3 power D-react that maybe has an additional effect, that's really powerful. The problem is that it's like itself is not disruption, and like the blues are actually like if you put all the disruptive blues together in your blues, you already have a lot of blues.
Space.
Like, yeah, like unless you want to run like more than 20 blues, like you're kind of squeezed for space already. Especially if you want to run other stuff like attack reactions in the blues, or you want to run like the card that makes a Graphene Callistra in your blues. You're just running out of space pretty quickly. And this one, I think it's worth running at least a one of, so that like in the late, you can pitch it, and in the late game you can transform into another D-React. But it's not disruptive, and it also is a really bad ponder target, right? Like you ponder into this, you feel really bad. So I think like maybe 1 to 2. I probably wouldn't run 3 of this. Yeah,
I mean,
but it's not bad.
2 going in, if it hits.
Yeah, if you're new. I think expecting this to hit to remove the mark. I mean, it's not, I guess like maybe your opponent lets this hit to remove the mark, right? But yeah, it's not exciting. I think you're not really happy about doing that. So yeah. And like let's skip ahead to Anaphylactic Shock, which I think is bad. So it's an instant trap, not a direct trap. So that's a little bit new.
It's not bad. It's simply not for Classic constructed.
Yeah, in LL format, you blow up a bunch of Ashwings. After you take like 5 damage from Ashwings, then you can kill 5 Ashwings. Perfect,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for.
See, but you're not seeing the value that Dromai had to sacrifice to make those 5 Ashwings.
Yeah, literally nothing.
1 Uvia.
Okay. Anyway, Anaphylactic Shock. Not good in the current meta. Like losing 1 life. We just kill them normally. Don't play this card. Okay. The other 2 cards are both pretty crazy. So let's talk about, I guess, Torrential Toxin, since it was spoiled pretty. I think this was one of the earliest cards or assassin cards spoiled for the set. Choose one or both. Importantly, or both. Target dagger attack gets +3. Target card defending attack with stealth gets -3 this turn. Okay, so before Graphene Calycera and Kiss of Death were spoiled, like we had this information, and it was still, I think, a pretty good card, already you already include 3 of it. So the reason being, so the second effect is essentially yellow stealth or yellow shred, right? And if you're a bit of an older assassin player, you know that yellow shred is like probably the best of the 3 colors, because you can pitch it for a 2-cost attack, very important for Huntsman and Ozuri. It's like 3 is like kind of a critical number because most things block 3. Red shred is not as good because it's fairly rare that you get to use it against a D-React. Obviously, it's good when it happens, but the flexibility of being able to pitch for an extra is really good for the yellow shred. This card, you lose that extra pitch, but you get to target a dagger. And that's really huge because one of the big problems with shred is getting it stuck in arsenal, right? If your opponent doesn't want to block you, then like you ponder a shred and you're like, do I arsenal this? Because like it may work. This Torrential Toxin gets rid of that problem because you swing a dagger instead, you get it out of your arsenal, you play your codex, you're having a good time. And like being 0 cost through either Razor Reflex or Yellow Shred, it's just really powerful. Okay, then we got Calycera, which is a dagger with stealth, right? So like let's say they throw like their that all you got in front of your Calycera. You use Toxin to essentially get 6 value out of it, right? It turns into 4 power, and it shreds their D-React, or like in their late game if they're blocking at all, like this just blows through all of that. So they're on 1 life. You swing Calycera, they block with 2 cards, you kill them anyways. So that's this thing is really good for that. And then we got Kiss of Death spoiled. This card's crazy with the Kiss of Death because it's a dagger, right? So it gives us +3 and it shreds a thing. So you have this Kiss of Death plus Torrential Toxin. That's like a 2 card 6 that deals 1 on hit that also shreds 3. So like a 2 card a pseudo 10, right? 2 card pseudo 10, and then next chain lane you can flick your Kiss of Death,
which is 2 more.
Right. So, absurd combination, and you don't. But like the thing of this, like it's not like Just a Nick where you need to combo it with a good 1 power stealth. Otherwise, like it's kind of it's still average. Like you Just a Nick a regular 1 power stealth that's like doesn't have a disruptive effect. Then it's not good, right? You Just a Nick under the trapdoor is just like a 2 card 6. But Torrential Toxin is still good elsewhere, right? You get to you can dagger power,
mark your clave.
You can guarantee your mark, right? But then if you happen to draw it together with, or you like arsenal it for a couple turns, then it becomes like triple powerful. So yeah, I think if you're running an assassin that marks at all, or like an assassin that just like runs a lot of stealth at all, you kind of have to run Kiss of Death and Torrential Toxin.
Okay.
Maybe New doesn't run it because it relies on blues, but yeah, this combo is crazy.
Would you rather have Persuasive Just a Nick or Kiss of Death Toxin?
The best part is you can just run both of them.
No, but let's say which one would you
so like which would I rather hit with? So Persuasive Just a Nick is roughly so. If you banish 2 cards off the top and it's 2 actions, and you banish an action from their hand, It's like 9 value because you gain 3 life and you did 6 damage, and then banish a card that's like maybe 3.
So like
best case value 12, right?
Yeah.
With Arakni, if they're marked, then it's like +1, and then so this is like 2 card 10. That next chain link is another 2, so like 12. But like there's like different conditions. They're actually kind of similar. But the difference being Kiss of Death is good on its own still, and Torrential Toxin is good on its own still, and you don't need to draw them together. Like, I mean, Prognosis is okay on its own, but 1 power is still just 1 power, right?
Yeah.
So.
I guess the benefit of Prognosis is that, or with Toxin is that 3 value part is only if they block. Like if they just eat it all, then it's still very good. But it's like if they did block it, then
if they eat it all, then they're dying. So yeah. Okay. Another thing is this card in the middle that we haven't talked about. Take Up the Mantle. Okay. So when this was first spoiled, I thought it was like maybe not very good because like a lot of your so +2 is like, you know, even though it's technically on rate for a yellow attack react, it's not really what you want to be doing. It's not a lot. And then if you're attacking a marked hero, instead it's +3, and then you can transform the current chain link into like a stealth card that's in your graveyard. I thought like, well, we have a lot of disruptive stealth attacks anyways, right? If you just stack your deck full of them, like, does it really matter if you're changing like something into a Persuasive Prognosis if it already has disruption? But actually, if you like, the more you think about it, the crazier this card gets. So I think being yellow makes it really powerful because you can pitch it, and then it's really good in the late game. So there's a few situations where like this card is just nuts. So first of all, it's like a late game situation where you have this and if you have like you have this, you have what's it called, and 2 blues. So what you do is you swing Clave. It hits because they're kind of out of blocking at this point, right? You swing Clave to mark them, and then you play like your second card is like any stealth, so it could be blue stealth, it could be red stealth, whatever. You play it, and then you change, and then you play Take Up the Mantle to change into Kiss of Death. So that becomes 7 power because of Marionette. If it hits, they lose a life, and then it gets go again because of Marionette. And the next chain link, you swing Calycera, and you flick Kiss of Death, right? So if you do the math there, that's a 3-card 12 off of a yellow and 2 blues, right? That's like pretty good numbers for a late game. That's like sort of on par with like Levels of Enlightenment, which I think when I did my last reactions or like set review video with you, I said I was bad card. I was wrong. That card's crazy. So it's like that level of like big numbers, right? 3-card 12 off 2 blues and this quite good. Another thing is like if you have actually like good combination cards together, then it becomes even better, right? Let's say you have like any stealth attack, and you have like a Bonds of Agony in your graveyard, and you have Bonds of Agony, and then you have like a Just Nick in your hand, right? So that's a pretty powerful 3-card combination. You play a stealth attack, you play this to transform it into Bonds. You play Just Nick to get a +5 and banish an additional card, and you flick your Clave to guarantee the mark, so that it'll get like another +1.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, and you do that math is like something like 14 damage. That also has the Bonds of Agony effect, and it's also kind of hidden, right? Because it's sort of like how Uzuri uses Bonds of Agony pretty well by you play an Isolate has Dominate, and then you flip into Bonds of Agony, and they're not expecting it. Actually, one of the problems with Nu is that if you play Nu a lot, you'll have situations where you like try to play the Bonds of Agony, and your opponent is ready for it because like Nu can't really transform things into Bonds of Agony without this card. So she's like she's a little bit more face up. As weird as it sounds to say that like Bonds of Agony is face up, but when Nu plays it, it's kind of face up because like that to get the effect, she needs 3 reactions, and then if you're counting the number of Just Nicks and you're counting like what kind of cheat cards she has, you can have a pretty like a decent probability of blocking it for like the correct amount if you're on the other side. That is if you're experienced into Nu. Take Up the Mantle, it like kind of throws that out the window because they can any stealth, play Take Up the Mantle, you turn into Bonds of Agony, and then like you blow them up, sort of like Uzuri flipping an Isolate into Bonds and then like flinging 2 equipment at you or something to get the other 2 reacts. So yeah, it can like make that Bonds come out of nowhere. So this card basically like the flexibility is you get lines like the Kiss of Death line where you get to just turn to red into a Kiss of Death and like keep going, or you get to turn
you can
any
turn
stealth
a blue into a red Kiss of Death, right?
Yeah, exactly. You turn a blue into a red. Yeah. So it's
like
automatically
+5.
+2 from that, and then take the mantle gives +3, and then Kiss of Death does something, and then you next chain link you flick. So yeah, this card just like from the flexibility of it, it does so many things for you that and I'm sure there are lines that I haven't mentioned or even thought of yet that like you get like the correct disruption for the correct moment, and because it's yellow, you can pitch it for later. So yeah,
it's like
really good.
It's like Assassin become the Arakni.
Yeah, at reaction speed.
Yeah, reaction speed. And
yeah, and it doesn't like dump a card.
Yep. Lovely. Well, these cards are really great.
Well, yeah,
they'll probably sit around the 10, 15 mark, and then depending how good Marionette is, it'll go up. If like someone wins a calling with it, all of a sudden these cards will hit 30.
Yeah,
and
I think
the next set will come out and it'll go down.
You play Marionette, you're running 3 Kiss of Death, you're running 3 Take Up the Mantle, and you're running 3 Torrential Toxins. Like that's just part of your deck.
Hey, if only 3 out of the 5 Majestics are,
you're running at least one
necessary.
Trapdoor.
Okay, well, I mean, at least one. Like surely it's optional, right?
Yeah, maybe it's optional. I think your deck is only slightly worse if you don't run it. Yeah.
It's like a fraction of a percentage, I would say, if you don't run it.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe like out of 100 games there was like one that this might have saved you, because like chances are you have blocked with it at some point earlier in the game,
or you pitched it and then you draw a second cycle and then you have a D-react again.
Okay, true. Yeah. Fair.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the rares and commons.
All right, let's see. Bite, is this a limited card? Even this
so it's like a guaranteed flick.
I mean, but you have
for sure it's a limited card. It's a limited card. You can like kind of get your go again out of it this way, like you know without having to pitch for a clave, you can like flick a clave. Yeah, I don't. I
mean, I guess with this you can double flick for funsies, right? If you have this and flick knives.
Yeah, like if your opponent's at 2 life, maybe.
Yeah. But there's many other like this you can flick and it's 2 life, so it's
just like the existence of the flick life legendary means like a lot of these like flicking cards are just way worse because you can just flick regularly, right?
All right, Whittle from Bone. This one.
Bad, bro. This is bad. No? It's bad. So like it's just like you have to compare it to
I guess it's on attack. You can't really flick and then equip easily. Yeah. Yeah.
So like the direct comparison, right? Like is the next 2 cards down or Weaver Spinneret, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like Whittle from Bone is 0 for 3. That doesn't have natural go again. No on hit effects, and then Weaver Spinneret is like, you don't have to do the entire effect. Like even if you have two daggers already equipped, you can still play this. So you just like ignore the first part, and then your next attack with stealth this turn gets +3. So like this card is essentially +3 go again. Whittle from Bone doesn't have go again naturally. And then they both still equip, and also Whittle from Bone has a condition of needing to attack a mark hero, right? Like why would you play Whittle from Bone when you have Weaver Spinneret? Like the downside of like needing to have a stealth card doesn't even matter because like Calistera has stealth. So if you don't have another stealth card in hand, you just like swing Calistera.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to run Whittle from Bone over this. Yeah, it's a limited card.
This reminds me of Arcane Season 2. Anyways,
Stains of the Red back. Well, the go again is not a conditional, so it always gives go again. And it costs either 1 or 0. So this is essentially a side grade to Hiss, right? Hiss being able to target a larger variety of things, and then also having 2 reacts instead of 1 for pawns. But
requires a blue.
Yeah, but Hiss, you have to pitch a blue. This one, sometimes you don't have to pitch at all. And go again is kind of critical in these decks where you want to go wide and disrupt multiple times. So this is a staple card. I think Hiss historically we've been shown that 3 red Hiss is like pretty much the play in most new decks. The blue is just like unfortunately not enough damage, and I think it's going to be a similar situation where you're going to run 3 red Stains of the Red back, and probably not the other colors.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then even if they're marked, you play something, the opponent's like, okay, I should block this, or else they get go again, and then you play this, you get go again anyways, and then
and maybe you go over because it has +3.
Lovely. I just got like $200 damage turn to me.
All
right. Backstab is a reprint. Nothing much there.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you don't flip, that it's very good if you can flip into a CNC. That's the only good situation where it's good. So let's go on. Let's move on.
Limited cards is for marking like Syndra and Fang.
Yeah, obviously you can't run these in CC, right? Like unless Syndra and Fang are like 90% of the meta. I don't think that's going to be happening. Yeah.
There's probably some. Oh, Mark. I remember when this got spoiled. Okay. Man, people were mad.
Bazonker's card. Okay, so like this is very comparable, I think, to Surgical Extraction, because like Surgical Extraction is like a blue 2-card play, 4 power, banish card from the hand on hit. This one, it's sort of weaker and sort of not. So like you pitch a blue for a Clave to hit them, and then this comes in like it is a 4 power stealth. And then also, like they get to choose which card gets banished instead of you. So like it's like sort of almost like a side grade to Surgical Extraction. But this is a stealth card, so that you can buff it with all your stealth buffing cards, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really powerful. I think you for sure run the reds because it becomes a break point with Marionette. Maybe you run the blues because that's a really good disruptive blue to have, right? Like they still have to block it out, and then if they block it out, then they stay marked and stay salty. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Yellow, unfortunately, because it's a yellow, it's probably out. Just because it only gets buffed to 2, and then
it's okay. Future light Arakni.
We'll be running
he finds he finds salvation. That's what happens.
Mark of the Funnel Web. Okay, this one's a lot worse than Black Widow, and similar to how I think the transformation is worse than Black Widow transformation. Obviously, they're not always going to have an arsenal, especially against Assassin. People tend to play out their hands a little bit more, right? Like when you're playing against Assassin, the risk is like if I arsenal, then they're going to blow up my arsenal. But if I don't arsenal, then they're going to codex and then make me put something in my arsenal, and then they're going to blow up my arsenal again. That's why I love playing Assassin. You got to make people make those choices. Anyway, so this thing. Most of the time, like people are going to be kind of playing around that arsenal destruction. Unlike Leave No Witnesses, it's like it's only 3 power base, and you're not always going to have Marionette active. And also, like the effect doesn't happen unless they're marked anyways. And Leave No Witnesses also generates silver, banishes additional cards, so that's deck damage as well. So just because, there's a lot of disadvantages to it. Maybe you run the blues because like it's still a disruptive blue, but maybe there's not enough space in your blues to run that anyways. So it's still it's not a bad card. If we didn't have stuff like Leave No Witnesses around, you'd be running this, but we already have good Majestics from previous sets that are worth a lot of money. So yeah, that's why we're playing this.
Mark the Prey seems like a limited card to me.
Yeah, I think so too. Like leaving them marked at the end of turn, like after you hit with an attack, like is only good. Like it would be good if the transformations were way better than Marionette base, but base form is really good. So losing an actual on hit effect, it means that you're probably not running this.
With base form, does this have go again?
It does. Hits? Yeah.
Okay. So it's like it's a 3-block conditional head jab.
Well, it would actually be a conditional like Blaze Headlong because it'd be 4 power with a base form, right? And then
but it's after it hits, right? So it would only be coming for 3 anyway. You play this vanilla 3, it hits for 3, and then it gets go again.
No. So like, sorry. When this hits an unmarked hero, it doesn't get go again.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It does not get go again. Yeah. So like, it have to be marked already with a dagger or something.
Let me read this again.
read the base form.
Oh yeah. So when this hits, it's not.
Yeah. It doesn't have the ability at all. Yeah, until they're marked. Yeah. So you have to resolve the trigger, and then you don't get a second
limited card then.
Yeah. Okay, this is fine and limited, but it doesn't have disruption, so forget it. In constructed.
0 for 5, go again. Okay. All right, Reaper's Call.
So I think it's pretty good and limited. And constructed, because you have daggers, like why are you not pitching for a dagger, right?
The Majestic Dagger just kind of invalidates the marked stuff for the most part.
Yeah, thankfully, the Majestic Dagger is in the expansion slot, so it's not draftable. So
you actually have to play these cards.
Yeah, you have to play it in limited, but it's for a limited card. When it attacks a marked hero, it gets go again. So this one has applications where like Assassin wants go again cards for specifically Enigma to clear board. This one, because they have to be marked, that means you already hit them with a dagger previously, which means they don't have wards on board. So like, what's the situation, right?
Yeah, it's non-existent. You just play looking for a scrap or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Something that like doesn't have conditional, like hurl or like the new. There's like a couple of new attacks that are basically head jabs that are non-conditional. So yeah. I don't think you play this.
Good old limited flavor. Razor's Edge, another reprint.
For being in a set that like has a ton of stealth cards, I'm kind of shocked to say that I don't think this makes the cut anymore in Constructed. Just because like deck space of like these really powerful, mostly Majestic cards is so tight. Because they're all more powerful. Like Torrential Toxin is like a sort of 6 value, and this thing is 3.
It's half of Torrential Toxin. Well, I mean, it targets
not necessarily
not the defending card. So yeah,
right. But still, like, come on, yeah. It doesn't have the flexibility that Torrential Toxin has.
There's just a C on the bottom. Like you can't play. All right, two sides to the blade.
So this one costs 1, which is kind of a demerit. But again, like if you're pitching a blue for Clave, you're gonna have 1 left over. So if you're not swinging Callista, then yeah, sure. One cost is not bad. So you can give a dagger +3, so same as Torrential Toxin. The second one is like +3, and when it hits a hero, mark them. So the effect is quite good. I'd say like giving a stealth card +3 and an on hit mark is better than like -3 shred. But Torrential Toxin can do both things. Yeah. So and it also costs 0.
Yeah, I mean this could be like a venomous bite situation, right? Like if there's space, maybe it's like a 2 of or something. Like I'm just
I don't think it's necessarily bad. Like in a vacuum, this is quite good. It's just like if you compare it to stuff like Torrential Toxin,
just like Nick, all the other good stuff.
Yeah. But the card itself, it's quite powerful.
Playable.
Like mark on hit is strong. So yeah.
Yeah, playable common. Hunted or
this is one of the 3 traps. So this is different from the other ones. So the other 2 are like they're both like so like the cycle from Outsiders, they all have the condition of like it's either the attack has go again or has power greater than the space, or they've activated an attack reaction. So this is the attack reaction one. The effect is different. So the other 2 are both like mark the target, and this one is that they lose 1 life. I think this one is the weakest of the 3 because attack reaction is the hardest. Just speaking from experience, attack reaction is the hardest condition to fulfill. Go again is usually the easiest one, and then power greater than space is usually
with the
also
new
very
assassin
easy.
Meta, maybe attack reaction becomes the easiest. No.
Yeah, possibly, but also the effect is like it lose 1 life. In some cases, that's not as powerful as marking them, right? Because mark is like +1 and possibly go again,
and possibly more.
Yeah. And also like the original effects of like Frailty Trap being, giving a Frailty, which is really good against like when your opponent's swinging daggers 4 times against you, right? Giving them a Frailty. Yeah, that's pretty good. And Inertia Trap, like dumping their arsenal, it's okay. So it's just like 1 life, even though it's they can't prevent losing the 1 life. It's just like really situational.
Yeah, and you have a lot of true damage in this deck already with Flick Knives, so. I mean, I guess technically Flick Knives.
They can prevent it, but that's like really
the new defense reaction is so crazy. Anyway, sorry, continue.
we're gonna get to that. Yeah, it is really good.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what we talked about.
We found it, and
so that goes through all the assassin cards. Do you want to just give some quick thoughts, if you have any, on?
I think Syndra is powerful. Yeah. So I think being able to attack with 2 daggers and then doing stuff and then like maybe doing it again, that's really good, right? The daggers blowing themselves up is like not as much of a demerit when you have a ton of like cards that blow up daggers from previous chain links. Like obviously Flick Knives, but also like a lot of the attacks are like, hey, you can throw a knife from a previous chain link to do 1 damage. Like, well, they were gonna get blown up anyways, so that's just more damage, right?
Yeah.
And of course a lot of the new Draconic attacks are crazy. So Syndra for sure gonna be in the meta. I think Fang also. Fang's a little different, but like you want to stack 3 fealties, but you're not dependent on stacking 3 fealties.
Well, it depends what your deck curve is like. Like some decks is like you take the loss in like by running less blues early and being inefficient until you have your 3 fealties, and all of a sudden your deck is like runs like butter.
You're crazy. Yeah. Like you have the pop off turn, and then your assassin opponent plays like a Frailty Trap against you, and then you just lost 4 damage. Yeah,
it's true. Trapdoor.
Yeah, just all right, let's keep going. So I think there's some hybrid cards in here. I'm not sure how these are ordered, but
let's see. I think should be here. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So go back up a little bit. I think we were like in the Assassin/Ninja. So at the end of the Draconic. Okay, so Blood Splatter Vest. Great card.
Hold on, let me read this. This is actually my first time seeing this. Whenever hits, you may gain a resource. Put a stain counter. Oh, so you just get 3 resources.
You get 3 energy. So obviously the obvious comparison for this is Tunic, and I think the obvious first conclusion is that like in a really fast game you want to play this, and in a really slow game you'd much rather have Tunic. Tunic also actually blocks for 1 because this one it breaks itself on 3 stain counters, so you don't get the blade break. So it's either block 1 at 2 energy or 3 energy and no block. So getting 3 energy like in consecutive turns is really good. I think maybe like Syndra or Fang would be considering running this because they're swinging their daggers all the time.
Well, Fang can't run this. It's Assassin Ninja, but yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Like Syndra can definitely consider this, right? Because free energy.
You can get 3 resources in 1 turn. Oh my god.
And it is May, so like you don't have to like put a stain counter on any time. So quite powerful effect. Very good in a fast game. For sure, going to be like the go-to in Blitz. In a CC game, I think Assassins just naturally. Like even the disruptive assassins, they go longer because like your disruption is good, but it's good at getting rid of your opponent's cards, but like that doesn't translate to face-up damage, right? Like your damage is naturally lower because you have this powerful disruptive effects. So the game is going to go longer, and then it's Tunic's going to take over at turn 10, and then like
this is where you need to see the vision with Arakni, Taotao. You have guaranteed go again. You can just flick your daggers away, get your free resources. Game's over. 3 turns. Bing, bang, boom.
So you play Arakni
that probably won't work. There's no way to like exponentially scale your damage in Assassin. So
no, what you do is like you play Arakni, right? You attack, you block with your helmet to transform you into one of the things that discard. You discard a 1 power stealth, and then you play looking for a scrap to 5 go again, and you kill him. Yeah, 3 turns exactly.
Yep, exactly.
All facilitated by this vest. All right, I see the vision now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's more like more like a fever dream, but sure.
I mean, anyway, maybe in Blitz. But yeah.
Oh no, in Blitz. Okay, so in Blitz for sure, like every
Blitz this
running this. No, Blitz this thing owns. Yeah. Great card in Blitz. Okay, but if you're CC Assassin, you still have a Tunic on the side for Enigma or like a Jarl or something, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're running this, because you can't get away from Tunic. There's no escape.
Dude, the Tunic. I come back to the game and I see Tunic has like over doubled in price since like Bright Lights. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it was like a. Originally it was up to like 300 at one point, and then they reprinted it a couple times.
It was like 250. Down. It was like 250 way back.
Oh yeah, only 250. All right,
in
like
Monarch Tales.
Yeah, and then they reprinted the shit out of it, and then like down to 60, and now it's going back up because like it's just the best chest in the game.
I want to say the first major reprint they did. Oh, I forgot which set it came in. Was it No, it wasn't Everfest. Was it Everfest? I don't remember, but it went down to like 100. It went back up. They reprinted it again in Bright Lights. It went all the way down.
It was Crew. It was a Crew, right?
Crew Unlimited, yes.
Yeah.
But there was
my Tunic's a non-foil from Crew.
And then Bright Lights. I saw Tunics during Bright Lights sell for like 60, and I was like, if you're a new player or if you're thinking about playing, this would be like the best time because like give it a year and all these will dry up, and they did. So.
Yep.
But yeah,
that's best. Yeah, maybe you run on the side. Okay, so limited gear or whatever. So these limited gear, even though you don't use them CC, I think these are great equipment for limited because it's essentially Iron Rot that you can play as a D-React, which is great. And I think like if you draft 3 of these, you're a happy camper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but surely you want this one.
I think you're Assassin. Yeah, you probably want this one. One time you use Flick Knives, which if you only have 2 daggers, so like it's pretty close. Obviously in CC is not Flick Knives, but yeah. It's not terrible.
All right, let's see.
Next up. Okay, Pain in the backside. Okay, this is a head jab. On hit, your dagger deals 1 damage to them, and it gets its hit effects. So you can use this on Kiss of Death. So the problem with this one is that it has to hit to get its effect, and it's a 3 power, right? So your opponent blocks 3, and you don't get the effect. And it doesn't have stealth, so you can't use your buffs on it. And it blocks 2, which the Assassin doesn't like very much. This card is kind of comparable to Hurl. Hurl being an older card that.
Yeah. But Hurl, you pay 1 instead of hitting, right?
You pay 1, but like it's on attack, right? Which is like really important if your opponent likes to block. Like, let's say you need to clear a dagger. Like, okay, a situation, right? You have like a Van Brace because you're against Enigma, and you don't have a way to clear your daggers out, and you need to like flick a dagger early to be able to equip a Callisto.
See, that's your mistake. You always play the flick. Remember the Ben, was it Ben who won calling something on Azuri with the flick versus Dromai? Was it?
Dromai, yeah, he flicked into a sand cover because the Dromai didn't like. Dromai had never practiced the Azuri matchup before.
No flame Taotao. He just missed it in the moment, probably. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't watch any interviews, but yeah.
I think Ben had curls in his deck too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it was a Dromai time, so.
Okay. Anyway, okay, Hurl, right? Always gets rid of the dagger. Like, if you have a situation where maybe you're not running flick, Hurl always gets rid of the dagger for you at the cost of 1, of course.
Yeah.
So, pain on the backside, I think maybe it's fine for Ninja because like you attack with a dagger, it's gonna get blown up anyways, and you play this, and then that's fine. But probably not for Assassin.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least not for Marionette.
When I see head jab, I feel like it needs to do something really good for it to be played at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this doesn't. I don't see the vision. I mean, maybe Syndra. No. You need Draconic stuff. So
it's not Draconic either. So like you have to blow up a fealty, and like your fealty, that's a precious resource. So
aggro Ira, this comes in for 4. So.
Wow.
Throw dagger.
Okay. So this is like literally flick knives, but it's a whole card. Okay, and if the damage is dealt this way, the dagger is hit and you draw a card. So that's just replacing this card. So like you could have just run that other card instead that you drew, but instead you chose to run throw dagger. So you're like diluting your deck by three blues that are kind of bad, and you should just run flick knives. Okay, moving on.
Wait, hold on. It deals 1 damage. If it deals damage, which it usually does, sure, there is prevention, but usually it will deal damage. You draw a card.
That just replaces the throw dagger that you just played. So like you haven't actually drawn a card. You've replaced the throw dagger.
Yes, but like when you think about ancestral empowerment, it's like +1 draw a card.
No, but that doesn't matter when flick knives exists.
Wait, but what if you want to flick 2?
Yeah, because you're Syndra, right? And you're running this as your blue. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to flick my dagger, and then I'm going to throw dagger my second dagger, and I'm going to maybe draw a card because my opponent didn't discard shelter from the storm.
Yes, well, I mean, it is pretty important to try to flick your daggers as Syndra because otherwise you can't get the discount unless you like close chain, pay a whole blue, get them back, end your turn kind of thing. But
okay. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Maybe this is a Syndra card because like then you can use it alongside flick knives. No way are you playing this in Assassin.
Yes. Let's see. Any of these rares that are anything other than limited?
I mean, Blaze Headlong. Nah. So the problem with the problem with a lot of these cards is that like they remove mark and they don't consume mark the way you want it to. So.
And this is the trap you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. So.
Where's the other one? Well, we'll see it.
Okay, so. It's like
Assassin. It's in the Assassin War. Oh, Assassin. Oh, wait, it's her again.
Oh yeah, this card's crazy. Actually, okay, let's go back up a little bit. This card's crazy, but let's go back up a little bit and just like quickly go over the other cards. So like retrieve a dagger from your graveyard is really interesting. Up 6 and run, pick up the point are both one's an NAA, one's an attack, and they sort of do the same thing. So like first of all, 0 for 4 off of an NAA is pretty crazy. You may retrieve a dagger, so you can pay 1 to get a dagger back. That's not useless, right? If you're flicking a lot. I think Syndra might run this just to get 1 back because like using the ability to get things back might be a little awkward. And this +4 is a lot of damage.
It breaks the chain though, right?
Well, you start with this. Like if you don't have any to start your turn.
If you're on a 1 dagger, which may happen. I haven't really mapped out the deck, but yeah.
And then pick up a point. So this one is a head jab, which is we've already said is like not that great. The ability is like it's not amazing, and it's also not draconic. So skip that.
Hey, but you can make
Poison
it
Blade.
But yeah.
So like Poison Blade, like maybe if you're going 4 wide with Syndra somehow, like you attack with 2 and then you somehow get them back. So you attack with 2 daggers, you destroy both of them, then you activate her on the same chain, you bring them both back, you swing 2 more times, then this is like 7 value, but that's like Magical Christmas Land. I don't think this is good. Yeah.
Is it though? I mean, yeah. I mean, Spreading Flames is probably just better, right? So.
By a lot, yes, because it's Draconic. It's a Draconic starter. Like, of course, it's way better.
And it's Majestic, but yeah. Throw yourself.
And here's another 1-for-3 go again. That also destroys the dagger. So it's like literally worse than. It's just like a straight up nerfed version of the Majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Talk about there. Like these red alert ones. Like it's fine. It can maybe block 2 in limited. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good old limited stuff. Target attack. It's go again. But I guess it has 0 block. That's something.
And it also like you have to play a card or activate an ability during the reaction step, which is like not a guarantee for any of these decks. So I don't think it replaces Snapdragons at all. Yeah. So limited card.
All right, let's start with Perforate.
Okay, so this is obviously not an assassin card, right? This is for warrior.
Yep.
And yeah, let's move on. I'm sure some warrior will make use of it.
I'm trying to imagine any world where assassin runs this. Yeah.
Okay. This card, I think you run an assassin. First of all, it blocks 3, so that's really good. I like how all the assassin warrior hybrid cards are blocking.
Yeah,
but like all the assassin ninja hybrid cards, like they don't block 3. But
true.
like assassin warrior, no problem. All right, we're blocking 3. Anyway, +4 to the next dagger attack, so that's already really good. Next time you hit a marked hero with a dagger this turn, draw a card. Like that's really good. So your daggers are coming in for 5 with piercing potentially, and just drawing cards like that's just a bonus.
Yep, and you can always flick if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, flick.
And then you have Kiss of Death too.
Kiss of Death. Yep, that's a dagger. Yep. All these Majestics have amazing synergy with each other. Yep.
Who'd have thought?
Yep. Anyway, you're on 3 of these. Okay.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's see.
0 for 3 I don't think this is for. I don't think this is for assassin. First of all, blocks 2. Second of all, like you don't want to consume. You don't necessarily want your daggers to be consuming the marks. And third of all, like +3 is just not good enough by itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
For assassin at least.
That reveals their hand.
Maybe in the mirror, but like it's just damage. Yeah, this is a limited card. Yeah.
Incision.
And again, +3. Yeah, forget it. Okay, move on.
Scar tissue.
Again, blocks 2, and then again, it's just +3 in limited. Like you already have Clave, forget it, right? Another limited card. Okay, yeah. Okay, Den of the Spider. This is the last trap. So yeah, Power Grid is base. Mark the attacking hero. So overall, I think like, if you're running, let's say you're running 2 traps in your deck, and you don't have room for like in the sideboard for like swapping them in and out for matchups. I think because Go Again is the most common one, you'll want like 1 Frailty trap maybe, and then 1 Lair of the Spider, which is like mark them for on a Go Again attack.
Yep.
Just because Go Again is the most common, not great against Guardian maybe, but it's still it's still 3 block, so it's okay. And then marking is powerful. Obviously, giving frailties to dagger-based heroes or any other weapon-based heroes is very powerful. So yeah, it's quite fine.
I think that's.
We skipped over a crazy card.
Hold on, I'm seeing if there's any more assassin stuff. Okay, gotta make sure the assassin part of the video is done, which it is, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the good old generic and expansion slot stuff.
Let's talk about quick dodge flexors. Oh my god! When I first read this, I thought that they had to close the chain in order to the attacker had to close the chain in order for you to use the ability again. But no, it's not like add this from your equipment slot as a defending card. It's just add this to the active chain link as a defending card. A non-once per turn defense reaction, and the boots have 2 base power. And they don't destroy themselves until end of turn. So literally any deck that goes wide, you have a blue in your hand, you pitch it, you block 3. You block 3 times for 6. And then if you have another blue, you block another 3 times for another 6. 2 blues, you block 12. So like, what do you do if you're like a go wide deck? Like you're trying to set up a pop off turn with Fang, and you're attacking 8 times with daggers or something, and then they just block with the boots.
Yeah, I think you can play this to CNC too. I'm not sure on the ruling on that.
Yes, you can because you're activating defense reaction. It's like Oldhim activating like Ice Earth React. Same thing. It's like you're not playing a defense reaction card.
But
you're just activating
I'm trying to imagine a world where you want to block on a CNC while paying 1 instead of just like
yeah. I think the only situation there would maybe be
tunic, and you have a 2-block and then 2 armor. Something it would. The
well,
situation
like if,
is
let's say you have tunic resource up, right, and then like you block with tunic and this, you use the tunic energy to pay for this, and then you block with 3 block from hand. That's 6. But I think like you would only be doing that if like you're not running other boots. But most offensive decks are running other boots. But like I think if you're playing against a highly like a really fast deck that likes to go wide, and you have enough blues in your deck, like even with 1 blue in hand, this is pretty good. I think you're gonna board this in from the side so that you can just block a bunch, which means that this is like going to be a staple generic legendary in the same way that Crown of Providence is. So yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Like when I think about sort of like the I almost said the bad word. Decks that are not aggressive generally don't have like crazy boot slots. I mean, Warrior, obviously, if you're 2-handed, has Valiant Dynamo. Guardian has had like a bajillion different boots they could run. Like
this is better than the Civic Step. This is better than Civic Steps.
Oh yeah, no,
sure,
I agree. But it's like you had Iron Rot, you had what was the next one? The one that came out in Monarch, Iron Hide, and then you have like some Earth ones. There's like 2 or 3 Earth ones. Some ran Mage Masters, and then now you have this, which is just like probably just going to be de facto in like all of those decks. So
yep. All right, everybody, enjoy your next $100 legendary.
But I mean, if you're playing like highly synergistic, talented or / aggressive decks, you wouldn't really play this. So it's more for like the other crowd.
Yeah, slightly slower, like not hyper aggro decks, basically.
Yes.
Blade Beckoners. So okay, this is a really nice application of the Guardwell keyword that we haven't seen since Balanced Justice. I think actually like these use Guardwell better than Balanced did, because that was kind of just like it blocks 2 essentially. But this thing, like if you block a non-weapon, you put 1 counter on it, and then later on you can block a weapon, and then you can put another counter on it, right? Or you can just like block a weapon straight up, and it blocks 2. So essentially, you're gonna get 2 block out of it no matter what, and that's in limited obviously is great. So I think this is A+ design. Good job, and it'll be a great limited pick. But you don't play this in constructed. So
I mean, at this point in the game, does any class have like a really bad arm slot that they would run this? I don't know. Probably not.
But Stonewall Gauntlet exists.
Stonewall. Oh, true. And maybe they don't go super wide though. But yeah, let me see this Bunker Beard. It looks like a Guardian helmet, but it's not. Destroy this. You may add an active card in your arsenal. Oh, I see. All right, it's cute, but yeah, it's.
I mean, well, so I've heard somebody say what you can do is like you arsenal 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and then you blow this up and you block 10 from your arsenal, but it doesn't trigger the effects since you're not blocking from. You're not like
it's a Zuri swap
from hand, yeah.
Or when Jomai comes back, you can load a popper in.
Yeah, and you're not playing down and dirty already. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's see. Rotten Remains. I mean,
this is interesting. Okay, this could be an assassin card because New maybe wants to consider this. Like the idea is, let's say like you have like your opponent has 3 persuasive prognosis in their graveyard, and you have like 3 pick the pieces in yours. So like you get rid of your bad stealth cards, and you get rid of their good stealth cards, and then you can play their good stealth cards. And it's also like essentially a winning blow at that point. That's fine, I guess. I don't know if you make space for a mirror card in your new deck. But like if you want to beat the mirror, yeah, maybe it's viable.
I feel like it's also though if you're playing a new mirror, do you even want to run this? Because like it's like you take out surgical, you take out levels. If they banish this, then it feels pretty bad, right?
Yeah, so like they play it right instead of you. The ultimate irony, right? Hoist by your own petard.
Yeah, but then also it's like you wouldn't really play this. I mean, you could play this in a mirror and an assassin mirror that's not new, for example. But does that really warrant a slot? Maybe, I'm not sure. It's only for that one matchup.
That's really questionable.
Yeah. But now to the
blue box three, right?
When I saw this card, I was like,
God,
this card's insane.
Yeah, it's so it's not like an upgrade to Sync and Fate because you have to pick one or the other, right?
I think it's an upgrade to Fate.
Well, I mean, like, sorry, not a strict upgrade to those two because you don't get the effect if you block for 4, right? Whereas like Sync and Fate, like you always get to cycle or you always get to opt one. But like overall, I do agree that this is an upgrade to Fate from the flexibility of like being able to discard it. So Okay, so first of all, let's talk from a design perspective. Like, why did they give us like another 4-block D react with a good optional effect? I thought they were done with like good 4-block D reacts. You know,
and
like
it's majestic too. It's not even common.
Okay. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's a majestic.
To sell
right?
cards. No, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe
why is this not a generic block card instead of a generic defense reaction? Like
So-
they were doing so well with the cards like Haunting Rendition, right? Like a very similar thing. Blocks 2 makes a rune chant, or like sorry, you can discard to prevent 2, make a rune chant, or you can block 4. This is like you can block 4, or you can discard to prevent 3 damage. But it's a D react, so you can just arsenal this. You can ponder this. Why?
So here's my thought process, right? We see this card and we see the direction the meta is heading with, Assassin, Syndra, all this stuff, and we're like, wow, this card's insane. Like, if you're a deck that only runs 3 D reacts and dependent on the meta for like London, maybe there's a world where this is your D react instead of sync, right? Probably not, but maybe. But
so you don't have to like cycle out your sideboard.
Maybe next set. Mastery Pack Guardian. Game goes back to tall attacks, baby. And then, everyone's back on the Sync and Fate train. And this was just like, a decent Majestic for the time.
Or they run 9 of them.
It's thematic with the set, at least. But it's obviously not a limited card because wait, no, is it? It is because it's generic.
Well, you can play it. You can play it in limited. And I'm sure it's good in limited, but like it's Majestic, right?
I think it was more like a limited bomb type thing that's not like game winning, but really, really good. So.
But in limited, it could have also just been a block card that blocks 4. With the same ability.
But I guess because like there's so many attack reacts in the set, you kind of need it to be a react, no?
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, regardless of how the card got made, this is what we have. Yeah. So other things you can do with it, in addition to the obvious, like it blocks rune chants, right? So you can discard to block 3 rune chants. It's essentially turning one of your reds into a blue in against Viserai or something. That's quite good. Besides the arsenal, you just blocks 4 from hand as a react. I think. One thing that's interesting about this is that, like, if you run, let's say you go up to 7, 8, 9 reacts, right? You run Fates and Sinks and this, that improves the value of cards like CNC, or actually not cards like CNC, just CNC, because CNC is the only attack in the game that says you can't block this, and it also blows up the entire arsenal.
Okay, but you just read out its whole effect. Like, there's Wreak Havoc, so.
No, but Wreak Havoc only blows up 2 reacts.
I know, but
right? It also blocks 2, and also CNC is like what, $80-$90 right now?
It was $100 last I checked, but it'll probably go down.
Okay.
Message to anyone watching: wait like 2 weeks for like all the people who like spam open packs and see where the price of CNC is, and then if it's like 70. I would just like pick up your playset right then and there. A year from now, it'll go back up. Like like Tunic went through a cycle of up down every time. It doesn't matter how many reprints they do, card always goes back up. Dude, assuming the game is growing, which
you're paying like a week's of groceries for 1 game piece in a game that needs 80 game pieces.
Why are you relating it to groceries?
Well, because I gotta eat, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Next card. Dual threat.
Luxury hobby. Am I right?
Okay. If you attacked it with a weapon this turn, next attack action card gets +3, and if you attack with an attack action card, your next weapon attacks this turn gets +3. So obviously meant to be, I think most clearly for Fang, maybe for Syndra as well, because they want to do like mix the attacks and non-attacks. The downside being it's not draconic, but the upside being you can get +6 out of it if you do both. So
yep,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's awkward because it's like.
You have to close the
draconic
chain.
And it's yellow and it's a non-attack.
And you have to close the chain.
And you have to close the chain. So, I don't know.
Maybe
there's a world. Well, it's tough. I don't really know, but yeah. Yep. I mean, you could go some cute stuff and then go like CNC for 9, but I don't know. When this hits a hero, mark them. Probably
great limited card.
Limited card. Hey, they block 3 though. Hey, critical strike with text.
Yeah, finally.
Sound the alarm. Oh my god, they really just power crept critical strike so hard. Anyways, Razor reprint. Imperial Live Seal Command. This is cute. It's flavorful. I don't know if it actually has CC relevance though.
Yeah.
Or I doubt it, I should say.
Like what I heard people say you're doing with it, like if you're playing Fang and you want to pop off, then like you play this early and then you wait for your pop off turn. But like that's a lot of prep.
Yeah, item prep in general is really hard. to do.
Yeah, like the only item I think that like one of these items that has ever seen play is Imperial Warhorn to blow up like Icelander auras and stuff, which is like a fine application, but it's still that's really niche.
And there was Time Snap, Knick-Knack, Shenanigans.
Yeah, Knick-Knack, Brick-a-Brack, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Best chain deck.
Mm-hmm. Relentless Pursuit, Mark, limited stuff. Actually, yeah. Calming Breeze. This one's actually kind of interesting, but it's so.
It's like Shelter from the Storm. It's like Shelter from the Storm. It's like Shelter from the Storm, but bad.
Okay, yes, but like it's like Brush Off in a sense that it's preventing 3 damage, but just the way it does it is different.
Sure, yeah.
Sigil.
Yeah, yep. Great card.
Good card. Tip Off, discard Mark.
It blocks 2, forget it.
Outed. Doesn't block at all.
But it could be. I mean, it could be 4 go again in limited.
Yeah, true. I mean, these are mostly like limited stuff, and it's quite flavorful. It's like if you're marked, you can't play this, so it's like it has that downside.
Also, Nip at the Heels. So if you look at the art of Nip at the Heels, he has 2 left feet.
That's a good observation.
Yep. Okay, move on.
Is it Public Bounty is interesting to guaranteed mark, but I mean you have your daggers.
Blocks 2 generic.
But I think in the for Fang, for example, no, he has pretty good fealty generation now that more stuff was spoiled. I don't know if this is necessary, but yeah. Expansion slot cards.
And then expansion slot cards, yep. I mean, I think Cole is the obvious winner here, right?
Cole is the obvious winner.
At the end.
I actually haven't even seen this one, but yeah, let's start with Cole then. Let's see. It's Vincent card mostly. Chain if you're playing in LL. Play it from Banish Zone. You may play it as an instant if hero lost life, which you can easily guarantee. Each hero banishes a card from their hand, which is not even necessarily a downside for you as Vincent.
That's a great upside for Vincent. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
that's nutty card, and also it's a good eloquence target because like
you get a double action.
She doesn't have enough targets for eloquence, so this is one of those. Yep.
Yeah, Vincent with Cull actually sounds pretty scary. I mean, you were at age like the Vincents were popping off.
Yeah, the Vincent's actually good now. Yep, and Cole just makes her better.
Yep. This card I feel made a lot of people angry when they saw it, but I mean, I don't play Prism, but it's basically like it buffs your Angel attack, which is like really awkward, and then it's like.
Prism's just doing Prism things. Yeah, it is what it is.
Warcry of Bologna is cool, and it has play into like Enigma, but Enigma's almost gone, and it's Bolton.
Also, Bolton gets hosed by like both the new boots and also the new Warrior Helm that just like stops weapon attacks. So.
Yeah, true. Well, it's funny that they released a Warrior helmet that like
hoses Bolton.
Hoses
so funny,
hoses
dude.
Warriors like in general. That is because it's like I feel like Warrior needs help into other stuff, yet they printed a helmet that helps it into themselves. So.
Yeah.
Command and Conquer reprint.
Yep,
it's a legendary
of course.
Instead of Majestic.
I mean, like imagine being a new player and you're like, okay, well, I want to buy into some cards, and they're like, oh, Command and Conquer reprint. Yeah, it's a legendary.
See, but the thing is, expansion slot Majestics are less common than set Majestics, but every legendary is expansion slot now. So technically, it's not less common than a expansion slot Majestic, for example. So I could see this actually being a good thing. I don't know.
There's gonna be some quantity introduced, but like
and it's really up to LSS whatever that number it was. I'm sure they want it. They want people to pull it, but they don't want to like.
But it's not okay. It's obviously not gonna be the price of like a regular Majestic, right? So
no.
Unlucky.
And then maybe next time. There's the regular version, and then there's the extended
art version. Yeah.
Which like
there's like
I wish
a
we
bunch
had
of
two different names for like. I mean, do people call it full art? I don't know, because we call EA like if this was like a Majestic, we would call this EA, but we also call we don't even see the other version.
You can click the versions.
Yeah, but we also call this EA, so it's like. Anyways, just a little side rant.
Okay, well that's the cards in the set. Ultimate conclusion is that this set is pushed. Assassin. For sure going to be part of the meta. Is it going to be the top of the meta? I don't know. Can't claim to say. Dao's is also pretty good. But but it's gonna be like, if you're not an Assassin player, enjoy buying into Assassin. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the price of Assassin, right?
Oh yeah.
So okay, here's a little list of like cards that are from previous sets, not the upcoming Hunted set.
Okay, well,
that are all corners. That's in the maybes, right? So so Tunic, like you're gonna need a Tunic, even if you have the new thing, then you're still gonna need a Tunic for long matches. You're gonna need to flick knives to flick your Clave. You obviously need CNC because that's like your Codex target. You need Codex because that's the best card in the game. You need Lee for another Codex target. Just a Nick because it hits Bonds and Persuasive Prognosis, which are two of your best stealth attacks. And even though Bonds and Agony, maybe you don't use it as well as New, but you still get 3 reactions off of, like, you can discard for your transformation, and then you can blow up 2 equipment, right? You can flick and you can use boots. So that's your 3 reactions. So yeah, you're running Bonds.
Hold on.
I hear your audio bleeding in.
Let me close this. I was watching PoE video and then it just played.
POB coming out.
Yep, yeah. PoB coming out.
So of those, maybe Surgical is the one that has is of like all these cards, maybe Surgical is one that's the most tenuous, because maybe you don't want to be playing a 2-cost blue, but the effect is still really powerful. It's essentially like Mark of the Black Widow, but in blue, right? So you run that anyways. Okay, this is a grand for old cards that is a third of your deck. Yeah, and you're gonna the new cards. You're gonna run, maybe 9 copies of Majestics, maybe more. Let's say you put 10 Majestics in. That's like more than 30 cards in your deck that is Majestic or higher rarity. So more than half your deck is Majestics. The new Majestics are gonna be $5, $10. Maybe you're running Shelter from the Storm. That's probably gonna be a $20+ card, because every deck is gonna consider running it. You need quick dodge flexors because you're running blues, and that card is insane at blocking. And so like pretty quickly, this deck goes over 1,500, over like closer to $2,000 for a new player buying Assassin. And like in the maybes, you have E-Strike, Warmonger's Diplomacy, and then like Black Tech Whispers is a maybe because maybe you're running Snapdragon Scalers instead. But like Warmonger's Diplomacy, that's what, $80, $90 card. E-Strike is $60 now. So that's, throw a few more Benjamins in there if you like. And these are cards that you don't necessarily run them, but like maybe you want to go a bit wider and you're having trouble with Enigma, so you need more Go Again. Okay, put E-Strike in there. Maybe like Azalea and a Viserai are in the meta, so you want Warmongers. Okay, you put Warmongers in there. Like this, the cost of this game, especially for a new player, it's more than Yu-Gi-Oh now, because like top Yu-Gi-Oh deck's still like over $1,000, but it's Flesh and Blood is more than that. If you compare to something like Pokemon, like a top Pokemon meta deck is $100.
If so,
yeah, maybe less.
Yeah.
I'm just here to complain. I don't have any solutions for this problem.
I was literally just about to ask you, Taotao. Right? Obviously, we're good at complaining, but what are some proposed solutions, some ideas you have?
Yeah, so like the reason that Pokemon has cheap cards is that they print alternate versions of those cards that are like fancy art and extended art or whatever, and collectors go crazy for that stuff, right?
Pokemon's also an anomaly, right? Because it's Pokemon.
Right, because Pokemon is an anomaly because there are more collectors than actual players, right? So like people just want the shiny cards, and they don't care about the less rarity cards, so those get sold in the secondary market. So buying singles in Pokemon is very cheap. Okay, compared to something like Magic, where you have like $1,000 modern deck or more. You compare it to something like Yu-Gi-Oh, where like a top meta deck, like you buy 3 copies of Fulalos, that's $300. I think the best approach to deal with something like this is governmental regulation, because TCGs are gambling. Like they're obviously gambling, and like the way you deal with that is you regulate them like gambling, and that would de-incentivize companies to be printing booster packs that are mostly chaff, and they excuse it by saying, well, you can draft with these cards, right? So we need to have 12 commons to and maybe no Majestic in every single pack, because that's the justification. Okay, and then you come into the situation where like most of the crap you open from packs is just absolute garbage, and you're using like 1% of the deck and 1% of the card pool in your CC decks, right? And if you try like a direct print to demand model. Like there have been other TCGs that tried like directly printing what players bought for singles, and then like those companies just collapsed, right? Because like people want gacha. So ultimately, like the solution is to change human nature to not want to gamble as much. That is the solution, Alan. That is the solution I propose.
What a speech. That was not the turn I expected you to take. When you started talking about like chaff, I was like, so would they do like Magic started doing that, right? Where they have like collector sets and then like draft sets, and then I don't know.
No, they changed that. So like actually what happened was they split it into draft boosters and collector boosters, and then people didn't buy draft boosters, and like draft was actually in danger of dying out because nobody was buying draft boosters, so they recombined them, and then, of course they increased the MSRP on packs. So now it's just like one pack again. Yep, because people would rather gamble than the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like just like as the card pool just grows larger, obviously like Majestics are going to be good. So it's like it just goes up and up and up and up.
Right, and
more of your deck becomes Majestic too.
Like back in the day when they made like non-draftable sets that were designed to like kind of supplement the constructed pool, right? They would print a lot of commons and rares that were like still viable at supplementing the pool. But nowadays, because every set is draftable and there's only a limited number of classes, the only way that other classes get cards is through the expansion slot. And expansion slot Majestics are of course a little bit more rare. And even though some of them are stinkers, a lot of them are just like crazy powerful cards that are just an automatic 3-of, like Cole in Vincent, right? You're running 3 of that card. So as over time, I think this becomes a problem where more and more of your deck becomes Majestic because you're getting cards through the expansion slot prints that are printed at Majestic rarity, so that like those are just automatically go in your deck. And then I hope it doesn't become a situation where over time, like because only heroes rotate out, individual cards don't rotate out. So give it another 5 years. Does it become like instead of 30 cards in my deck are Majestic, maybe is it 40 cards? Is it like 45 cards are Majestic? Where does the pain train end when it comes to my wallet?
Yeah, I think it's also tough because some classes they've just released more heroes untalented, like Assassin, right? Well, I guess Azuri and Well, it was Arakni.
I mean, Marionette is technically talented, but like at the moment, it's effectively an untalented assassin. Yeah.
And the same happens for like Guardian, for example, Victor and Warrior. Like these classes generally but like they've had more untalented releases. And the thing with talents,
I like how you didn't say Betsy. You said Victor, but not Betsy.
Whoa.
Who's in the same set?
I didn't want to talk too much. You got my point. Betsy too, of course. Olympia, can't forget about him. But I think it's just the fact that with these heroes and the fact that they're not talented, which means that any support you give them goes into the wider card pool. It makes this like Eternal format more of an issue. Like if Ice leaves, it's like the game can like restructure, find different cards to use. Ice goes down. If you want to spec, you buy your Channel Lake fridges back when they're $5, right? And you wait for it to come back out, but not everyone wants to do that. So I feel like with Assassin, with so much of its card pool being untalented, like obviously you have new.
But they're also doing things recently where they're printing more, like even in the talented sets, they're printing more cards that are untalented. Like in MST, like most of the assassin attacks were untalented, and it was like the mystic was kind of limited to like purely mystic cards or like mystic attack reactions, that sort of thing. So that means everyone has access to Bonds of Agony and Persuasive Prognosis, right? So that's that's an automatic 6-of in your blues at Majestic.
Yeah, it's just awkward because like back then when you look at like Prism, right, like OG Prism, like your whole deck was basically light. Bolton, your whole deck is basically light. And if you don't hit the mark, then it's really hard to get you over the mark, because like you're so reliant on your synergistic deck, 5, for example, and Draconic. And he's, probably going to get some support with this set too. Does that mean he's, top meta deck? Probably not. Is he viable? Maybe. I don't know. Same thing with Mechanologist. I think my recommendation is that if you're not sure about playing Fab and you don't want to spend too much money, not to play a generic hero, which sucks because you don't know the next time you're going to get support. Like Prism got an expansion slot card and it might not do anything, right? And you would need to wait until the next light versus dark set to come out for your hero to get something. But
right, but this game is also like you have that hero fantasy. Like this game gets say like commander players who come in because like I identify with this hero. I want to play this hero. And of course, just being naturally a competitive game, you want to play the best version of that hero. What if you come into this game and you're like, whoa, this Arakni Marionette hero looks really cool. They can transform into 6 different heroes. That's great. And then you want to buy into the deck. Oh, that $2,000.
I mean, also it's like whenever something's new, it's the worst time to buy. Like everyone, when MST was spoiled, everyone was like, okay, well, I guess when Rosetta was spoiled, not that many people were like, oh my god, this is gonna be the coolest thing ever. I mean, I thought I was gonna like it because it's like I really like Tails as a set, and I like the Earth, Ice, Lightning stuff, but it didn't like wow me, right? Compared to like MST had, in my opinion, like a wow factor. I would say Hunted 2, this set has a good wow factor as well, and by wow factor, I part of it is also like art style too, if you catch my drift. But yeah,
I think if you ignore the all the Draconic cards that are just like red and orange and fire.
Yeah, but yeah, game's expensive. If go to your locals, play some draft, meet some friends, and ask to borrow some decks
don't buy
at
into Assassin.
Yeah, ask to borrow some decks at Armories. I'm sure your locals probably has some people who are like super into Fab and have like multiple decks, and you can just try things out, see if you like the game. And Talishar exists, but yeah, if you wanna compete at anything, you gotta play with real cards. So.
Yep.
All right.
On that downer note, well,
any other?
I think I said my piece.
Yeah. Yeah, every Taotao video you gotta have a little piece. It's usually the same piece, but it's only been more exacerbated since last time you said your piece. So.
Yep.
All right. And yeah, that's all for this video. Will I post other set reviews covering the ninja or warrior stuff? Maybe. I'm actually quite busy this coming week, and I'm going on vacation soon, so I may or may not find the time or find the person to even talk about the other classes. But yeah, I'll schedule this up, see what happens, and then maybe you can look forward to some Jarl content in the future. Maybe not. Depends how much time I have to play Fab. But I am looking at the game, which means there's a good chance that I will be playing the game. And maybe I'll show up to Armory at Anthony. But yeah, that's all from me. Goodbye. Thank you, Taotao, for your time. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate
thanks, Alan.
it, as always. And have a good one. Bye, YouTube.